Hi, and welcome back to our masterclass on data governance at AWS, and I'm Kevin Lewis. So now let's talk about governance of analytics and reporting, because we can do a lot of hard work to get the quality of our data where it needs to be. We can get it integrated, we can support the business initiatives, and we can have all the data in a condition necessary to be successful with the business and succeed with all of that. Then we open up the data to the analytics community. If there's no governance or consistency around the analytics side of it, we can then lose the perception of quality that we've worked so hard to create, because everybody's creating the same reports over and over again, and there's a bunch of overlap and inconsistency, and spreadsheets here and dashboards there and all of that. So it is important as a part of, or at least related to, the data governance program to also think about governing the analytics work. Now, again, much like data governance, it should be considered an enabler. Governance should not be seen as a restriction. It should be seen as something that accelerates the work of analytics, because what you're doing is you're just improving the quality of the reporting and analytics capability. And importantly, you're not burdening the analytics community to build the same reports over and over again. You're just making their lives a lot easier so that they can focus on the truly innovative and new work that they need to do to get their jobs done. So when we organize the analytics community, it's going to be very much like what we talked about in distributing responsibilities for data governance. We want to decentralize, but not decentralize so much that we create splintering. So how do we resolve this? So in any organization, you will have, typically you'll have analysts in various departments throughout the company, maybe in operations research or in marketing or in strategy development. And really, these days, just about every department, if not all of them, is going to have at least some focus on analytics, either as an element of existing jobs or full-time jobs throughout the company. And so the first thing that you want to do is at least get an understanding of where all this work is taking place. Get an understanding of what are the roles that are out there as it relates to analytics and reporting, and who is doing what work and for what purpose. And then what you're going to often find is that there's going to be maybe one or two of these organizations that may be a suitable candidate to introduce the concept of a more coordinated community. For example, in a lot of the companies that we work with in the finance department, you will find a group something along the lines of financial performance and analytics, something like that. And you'll find that they do a lot of course, financial-centric reporting, but they almost always are involved in reporting beyond just the numbers, but those things that influence the financial numbers. And this is a group that already serves the wider community of business decision makers and analysts throughout the company. So that's just an example of finding an organization within the company that we can say, okay, this group is already sort of a hub of analytics. Why don't we take this to the next level and we make this group a coordination hub for the wider analytics community throughout the organization? Maybe it starts with just building out capabilities and providing a forum for people to share best practices and using tools and all of that. But at the same time, what it can also do is make sure that it is establishing what we can think of as certified analytics or certified reporting, meaning that what are the core elements of analytics and reporting that are going to be used by the widest variety of business areas within the company. And of course, I have to say that, okay, where do we start with this? Well, why not start with the major business initiatives that are driving everything else? So as we build out both the community and we build out some of this shared reporting and analytics capability, it is very helpful to take the energy that's associated with these top funded business initiatives and build reporting and analytics within those initiatives, but position them to be certified analytics that should not have to be recreated over and over again by the wider community. And so again, we want to balance centralization and decentralization. It does not mean that all of the analysts throughout the company have to report directly into and co-locate with the central team. You can have all of the analysts all throughout the company stay right where they are, and they can stay very close to their internal customers to be very familiar with the business needs in that area, to serve their constituents as proactively as possible with minimal bottlenecks. But they'll just have this added connection, both to each other as a community and to this central organization. And these can be dotted line relationships or straight line relationships, but we would still typically, in either case, we would typically advocate that the analysts stay close to the constituents that they serve, even if they have a straight line relationship to this central analytics community, because again, it's this balance between centralized and decentralized. Maximize the empowerment, but reduce the amount of work that they have to do because it's not taken care of for them. And so you're accelerating and enhancing their capability rather than creating a bottleneck. And you can do things like, standardize on tools and provide help to the wider community about which tools are the right tools to use in particular cases. There's also a link to application development. So when we are building core metrics and core analytics capability, we want to have a relationship between this team and a team within IT that helps to embed analytics inside applications, because a lot of this same capability that we build for standard metrics, reporting, dashboards, and so on for the community for analytics, these are the same kinds of things that can be embedded directly into applications as they are developed. So there's a link there as well. So let me give you an example here, and this is just to show that you really have to look within your organization at what is already happening today, and who is the closest to being this central hub of analytics already, and maybe play off of that. So in a financial services organization that I was working with, there was actually a chief marketing officer. Now, normally you would not look to marketing as a central hub of reporting for the entire organization, except for marketing reporting, but not for all analytics. However, in this case, the chief marketing officer was very interested in, he was a longtime employee of the company. He had a lot of interest in the success of the company as a whole, in addition to his role as chief marketing officer. So he was already establishing a chief data office within his organization. And as a part of that, he was also building out a chief analytics organization. And this is something that we absolutely advocated in his case, because that organization was already being positioned. And frankly, informally, a lot of analysts throughout the organization were already reaching out to his organization for help and guidance and support and all of those things. So kind of unofficially, his organization was playing the role of this analytics hub that we want to build. So what we advocated was to more formalize that. Now, the important thing was they did not make it a part of the CMO office. They created something called a Chief Data and Analytics Office within the marketing group. And the intention was always to split that out later. So this is just to show, again, I gave the example of typically you'll see something like this in the finance organization, but you should look for it wherever it lives. And you may end up creating something completely new that is pulled from all these various groups, but it's important to at least be conscious of the communities that are already in place today. And if you're not going to sort of pick one as the hub, at least sort of bring them along as part of the process and talk about how they can participate and contribute to this. So that's distributing responsibilities within the analytics community. And again, it's a a very important part of the overall success of data governance.